Hey everyone, it's Carter King. If you're an educator, a leader, or just a parent who wants to teach kids about space, check out my newest book, Carter's Journey Through Space. It's available now on Amazon, Target, and bookstores everywhere. Come explore the universe with me.
Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is simple: to help you create environments where people thrive. Through real conversations, practical strategies, and powerful stories, we equip leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself to build cultures rooted in purpose, performance, and authenticity. Because culture isn't something you talk about, it's something you live. This is the Contagious Culture Podcast. Let's get started. I am so ready to have this next conversation with two people that are truly special to me, that are doing some phenomenal work, truly phenomenal work. And this conversation is going to be exciting. And this session examines how organizations can use AI and artificial intelligence, not just as a tool, but as a cultural catalyst. And I love the word catalyst because it's creating something. It's creating ripples. It's creating a ripple that's going to happen within our organizations, within our world, within our economy, to be able to transform the way that we do business and this mission-driven work that we're calling transformation. So Coretta, Dixon, and Myreesha Franklin are going to be joining us discussing how AI can elevate human thinking, spark innovation, and support equitable practices when implemented thoughtfully. So they're going to explore how leaders ultimately can create cultures where humans and AI can collaborate rather than compete. This is going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to bring them up. Myreesha, welcome to the stage. Coretta, welcome to the stage. Welcome to the stage. I'm so excited to see y'all. How are you doing, Myreesha?
Morning. Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I'm
Can you hear me?
amazing. I can sure hear you. Coretta, how you doing?
Good, Kyle. How are you doing? You've been kind of running a marathon this morning.
Look. Then somebody that actually runs marathons, you just got to take it one step at a time. And if I come off camera, I'm just going to get some water and I'm back at it. But I am so excited to have this conversation, and I have so many questions throughout this conversation. But before we get started into the meat, into the fruit of what we're going to be able to share today, can you just first introduce yourself without sharing any titles? And can you talk about the story behind where you are today?
Myreesha, I'll let you go first.
Okay, absolutely. Well, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity and just putting this on. This is amazing.
Appreciate
So my name is Myreesha. I am born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri. Not Kansas. I know people think of Dorothy, Kansas, click the hills. No, it's Missouri, the state next to Kansas. So anywho, I was born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri, and I've always had this desire to help people. I've always had a desire to see people flourish past like their surroundings and their demographics. So long story short, I grew up, I got my cosmetology license. I'm an entrepreneur since like the 6th grade. I used to sell candy in school, and it's just continued on in that vein, just kind of as far as thinking, a thought leader, entrepreneur, trying to help provide opportunities for other people. I think that's the best. And I'm a mom. Yes, I'm a mother of a 13-year-old. Is that good?
That's good. Coretta, what you got for it?
Thank you again, Myreesha. That I want to do some of that work. I can't wait to dive into that conversation.
Yes.
So Coretta Dixon, and I live in Chicago, Illinois, born and raised. I got into this work because I felt like sometimes in corporate America, there isn't always that empathy for the person on the other end that is taking on the change. And I wanted to be the change maker. So my entire life, I have been that one that has pushed the needle. And I wanted to do that in corporations and challenge them on the way they're thinking and the way they show up for their teams.
That's good. That's good. Ladies, I know you both personally, and I'm sure we'll have some funny conversations offline. And I really love the work that both of you are doing. And Myreesha, this first question is for you.
Yes.
With the work that you're doing for the love of self and the women that you're empowering, why that work? Why is the work that you're doing important?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked me that. So I was a cosmetologist, as I told you guys earlier, for 15 years behind the chair. And I just remember standing there and I would just be praying like, God, I know you've called me to mentor. I know you've called me to give back to the next generation. And I'm just like, but I don't have time. I don't have time. You know what I mean? Like I had a family and just my work and just different things just did not allow the time. And I just felt so, you know how you have that feeling like you're going to miss out on something? Mm-hmm. I just felt like I was going to miss the opportunity. And so I was and it wasn't like a in-depth prayer. I mean, I'm doing people's hair and I'm just kind of talking to God, so it's not like this in my closet deep thing, it was just kind of my heart's cry. And so, 3 years ago, I had the opportunity. I just kind of felt the Lord lead me to come from behind the chair. I didn't have a super solid plan, but we had a plan-ish. And honestly, this is my opportunity to mentor girls. So what we do is we go into middle and high schools teaching cosmetology and entrepreneurship. That's what we do. But why we do it is really so that we can imprint on the next generation, to help them to not fall into the same traps that maybe you did or I did or the people around us did. Also to expose them to opportunities, because I believe that I am who I am solely because of what I was exposed to as a youth, whether that was through my youth group, school, however that be, what I was exposed to expanded my mind. Once they say you expand a rubber band, it can never go back, right? So once my mind saw these things, I was just like, it's possible. It's possible. So that is why I do what I do.
Now, Coretta, similar question. You have been exposed. You've had a lot of rubber band moments in your career, where you've worked with Fortune 100 companies, you've worked with hundreds of thousands of people, and not just worked with them, led them and empowered them and transformed a lot of these spaces. What was your slingshot moment? Why did you make the intentional decision to step out of the realm of corporate and build something lasting that has helped me, has helped so many people in how you approach organizational effectiveness, and really being able to ultimately build organizations that do think, not just implement?
Well, like Myreesha, I'll give 100% credit to my faith. So I worked in consulting is my second career. I worked in finance and things like that prior to, and I decided to move into consulting. But what I noticed is the lack of empathy. When I initially started consulting, I was in my late 20s and working with individuals that were fresh out of college. And so I realized how much we are beat down in those first couple of years in consulting. And not only that, it shows up in the way our clients are treated. And so I decided that there was not, with the different firms that I worked for, there wasn't a lot of opportunity for me to have flexibility in the practices that I put forward for change. And technology adoption is so very intimidating sometimes to people that are taking on that new role. And so because of that, I knew that, especially in this age of AI, there had to be something more, and there required a little more hand holding and a lot more empathy. And I knew that I didn't want to be the change manager anymore. I wanted to be the change maker. Ooh. So doing that gave me the opportunity to kind of branch out and use my own methodology based on years of experience. Because, you look at from mature into younger individuals, and taking on AI is very intimidating now because the fear of what's going to happen to my job next. So I can bring that empathy to that space, because as a consultant, we all had that fear as well. And so it requires an empathetic touch. And I felt like going out on my own gave me the flexibility to do that.
I think there's a misconception with this idea and this culture of artificial intelligence, to be very honest. I think it, for me, I'm a word nerd, like Marissa said, the last conversation that we had. And I looked up the definition before this conversation, before we even went live, on what is artificial intelligence. I have a 9-year-old and he goes and he's coding every single week. And I wanted to understand the difference between coding and programming and development and all of these different things. And I want to first help people understand what the definition of artificial intelligence is. It isn't just, hey Siri, and then it says something, or hey Google, and then it says something. It's not just robots and in all of these automations. That's not what it looks like. That's a result of it. But artificial intelligence is defined as the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think and learn like humans, perform complex tasks, and solve problems. AI systems can process data to make predictions, recommendations, or decisions by identifying patterns through methods like machine learning. And these systems can operate autonomously or be used to automate tasks that typically require human perception, cognition, or physical action. That's the definition. With this definition, how do we prepare the next generation or current generation of leaders to have the tools, the skills, and the methodologies to be a part of this next wave of technologists that use artificial intelligence as a language? Coretta, I'd love for you to hit that first.
So that simple answer is bridging the gap between artificial intelligence and human intelligence. So most of the time when artificial intelligence is introduced, it is thought that this is going to do all the work that I used to do as a human. But when you really look at it, artificial intelligence is truly based on data. And there is you can't get around that human touch. So artificial intelligence, we can help leaders by making sure that we have human in the loop. And human in the loop is really about having those stage gates where individuals are making judgment calls when it comes to certain decisions that artificial intelligence is making, as well as including the human or the individual that is going to be working with the AI tool to really sit back and think about, hey, based on what I know of the role that I'm performing, there's a lack of bias here. There's a space here where I feel like this will be a better judgment call to a human to make. Now, artificial intelligence definitely thinks faster. It does things quicker, but there's no substitute for the place that a human can bring to the table when it comes to the psychological safety of your customers and things like that. So having them more involved in the implementation of AI, I think that it is more important to not miss that. And I feel like that is where the miss is in organizations that are starting to implement the tool.
I'm extra excited about this conversation, and I was gonna wait to go live and have this conversation because I wanted to put you on the spot, both of you, and I wanted to be able to do a rapid fire exercise in real time because I think that the audience would appreciate it, and then it would make me very happy as well. So Myreesha is running a very successful organization in Kansas City, Kansas. And I didn't understand the difference. Oh, Missouri. See, I still mess it up. I still mess it up. She's running a very successful organization in Kansas City where she's helping empower the next generation of entrepreneurial women to be able to go out there and transform society through way of cosmetology, but then teaching entrepreneurial skills and all of the necessary tools that they need to be successful. She's teaching students how to think, not just what to think, how to critically problem solve, how to identify solutions in various gaps and problems as well. Coretta is helping organizations do the work more intuitively, leveraging AI and empathy as a tool. So, Coretta, I'm going to put you on the spot and put your coaching hat on. What are some things that if Myreesha wanted to be able to integrate AI, what is the first step that her organization could make to be able to introduce AI into part of her workflow?
Good question. And first of all, I would like to say that the soft skills that the individuals that Myreesha works with, that is, you can't replace that. There's no way that you could substitute that in any way. And so it actually benefits her to implement AI, but in a way that it is empathetic. It definitely helps individuals to be psychologically safe because they create a space where, psychologists, cosmetologists, they're therapists. And so like creating that space of safety is number one. But when you're considering implementing an AI tool, the first question that I would suggest an organization to ask is, what problem are we trying to solve for? Is this something that are we bringing on AI because it's the popular new thing, or we don't want to be left behind? Or is this really going to solve a problem within our organization? And then second, is this is the tool that we're using, is this in alignment with our strategic footprint? What is it going to, does this align with our vision, mission, and our roadmap when it comes to what's important to us in the next 2-3 years? Where are we going with this organization? Is this going to help us have a more impact on our audience and the people that we serve? And then third, how are we going to measure success? What does success look like? Is success on the human end when it comes to behavioral changes, or are we really looking at metrics? How are we going to? Is there going to be a return on investment financially, as well as building the strengths of our employees? It's not just all about doing work faster and quicker. It's to help the individual to do their work better and free them up to do things that are more important to them.
Ooh, we have and Myreesha, I know that's a lot to consider, and I want to ask a question before you kind of respond to what Coretta just explained. As a nonprofit leader, as somebody out here that is transforming the next generation of students, how are you thinking about the role of AI and how it could support your students' growth as they approach learning and as they approach entrepreneurship in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I have so many ideas. I mean, some are not patent yet, so I can't not display. I do have a few, but no secret. I think AI is so powerful. Now, I know a lot of people are afraid of it, and some people are even under the impression that it's evil. I think just like anything in life, it has a good, it can be good or bad based on how you use it. So as far as the youth and the next generation, I think what you said is so key as far as getting them involved in the creation of because you see so many things online that are AI, whether their videos, and the thought behind it is what propaganda are they putting forward? Why are they pushing this? Who is behind this, and what message are they trying to get? So just like any table, everybody needs a seat so that one, it can be diverse and that it can be equitable to everybody. So these things that are being pushed out about youth, these things that are being pushed to the youth, they need to be a part of it, especially the creation of it, so that it can represent them in a true light, not just whoever's behind it agenda is. So Kyle, did that answer your question?
It definitely did. And okay. I have a direct question for you, and I would like you to answer it, but then Coretta to challenge this as well. Because I wanted to be able to create a space here where people, if you have questions, put them in the chat, or if you have comments about AI and the future of AI, put them in the chat.
Hey, it's Kyle. Sorry to interrupt your programming, but I got a quick culture check for you.
How's your team's energy right now? I mean, literally, right now. Are people feeling inspired? Or are they just showing up? See, here's the truth. Culture doesn't change because we talk about it. It changes because we live it actively every single day. And that's what I help organizations do. Build contagious cultures that people actually want to be a part of. Through keynote talks, interactive trainings, and hands-on consulting, I help leaders transform the way their teams connect, perform, and grow. So if your culture needs a little bit of spark, let's light it up together. Visit theculturelab.org, again, theculturelab.org, or connect with me directly on LinkedIn at Kyle S. King to learn more about how we can work together. Because remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching. Now let's get back to the program.
But I wanted this real-time dialogue between us three in regards to these various things, because I'm even looking at the future and how AI can show up in my organization and even in the interactions between our business as well as our customers and constituents as well. So Myreesha, this question's for you. What challenges or concerns give you pause about implementing AI in the nonprofit section or setting and in your business as well?
Okay. So as far as the things that would give me a pause is just the information leak, as far as who has control over the information that I'm giving. So let's say if I set up a program and it's using AI and the different things, who has access to the information? What are they going to do with it? Who is who's in charge of it? Who's regulating it? So those would be the concerns I have, but I still think it's a good thing.
Coretta, what would be your response to those concerns, and how could Myreesha implement certain things so that it would mitigate those concerns, but then also provide an opportunity for her to grow the organization?
Good question. So Myreesha, I'll ask you guys to think back. Think back to when internet first came. A lot of individuals, when it came to Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, who's going to have access to my information? Is this going to come back and bite me? But the individual actually has control over what information they put in, how they manage their data. Sometimes we're not sure about when our phones are listening to us, like what are they picking up? But you control the data that you insert. Now, there are situations where those things like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and things like that, you sign if you decide to open your information up for them to learn, then you're put in the world of, is it going to really be out there? But there are safety measures. Now, I could tell you one thing about nonprofit that I've noticed is that the number one concern with nonprofit, because they are often working in the matters of the heart, is ethics. So putting ethics is an issue because sometimes artificial intelligence has a bias. And I'll tell you about a simple exercise. So if you are often in ChatGPT, you've developed a sort of relationship with your chat buddy.
Hold on, Coretta. Can I just ask, what did you name chat? Because my chat is named Jessica. So what is I know, and look, y'all don't be bougie in the chats. I know that everybody in here has a name for their chat GPT. All right, continue, Coretta. My bad, y'all.
Mine is Selena.
Selena?
Alina?
Selena or Alina?
Selena. Which is
right.
funny. So that actually kind of supports the point. So anybody on this call, I encourage you to do an exercise, a quick exercise. Go into your chat, preferably the image creation, and ask ChatGPT, based on everything you know about me, create an image of who you think I am.
Ooh.
You'd be surprised at what comes up. I did this exercise and I came up as a Black male, and which was a Black professional male. And I asked ChatGPT, why did you come up with this? Especially because I talked to you about girl things. I talked to you about fashion and things like that. And it accounted to my profession. And so that told me that there is definitely a bias
so
in
good.
regards to, how the data is managed, what the conversations are like. And there's countless pictures of me in my chats and things like that. So it was interesting to see that because of my profession, ChatGPT thought I was a male. And so that tells you a lot about how artificial intelligence does not have that ability to replace the human, because there's those biases in there. And, there are a couple of organizations. One, for example, they implemented a AI tool for looking at candidate profiles and their HR candidate profiles. And what they realized is that they were overlooking the women candidates because it was a bias. They didn't incorporate DEI practices, HR. There was not a lot of feedback in the loop. And so they ended up having to restructure the tool and all that other good stuff. But they were coming up with a lot of trouble because they were bypassing their female candidates because of the perception that AI had.
Okay, can I say something? I know I wouldn't ask a question.
Go ahead, Myreesha.
Okay, cool. I want to get permission. That's why I'm just gonna go on a short tangent soapbox. But that's why it's so important for us to be in the process of creating this. Like, we cannot be afraid of it. We cannot stand back and let it be created, because as we know, there are systems in place that have been created for centuries, and we are trying to overcome certain things. So we have to be a part of the conversation. We cannot shy away from it. We can't sit back and let someone else create it, because we're not going to be a part of it. We're not going to see ourselves in it. So we have to, no matter what your background is, your race, your religion, your age, like, you need to be a part of it so that you can see yourself in it and that it can benefit you. All right, I'm done.
Let me just say this for anybody listening, and this may ruffle some feathers, but you can just help the engagement and put it in the comment section. According to one source, there are over 50,000 AI tools in platforms globally this year. ChatGPT is not AI, okay? Like, when I think of AI, it's not just ChatGPT. There's other platforms like Claude, like Google Gemini, like Perplexity AI, Mistral AI. There's a lot of other tools out there like Write Sonic. ChatGPT is not the only platform that can write your responses, that can help you navigate a breakup, that can be your therapist, that can help you come up with content strategies and all of those different things. But here's why I want to put this out there, and it's kind of piggybacking on what Myreesha said and expanding on that point. The global AI market right now is projected to be $757.5 billion in 2025.
Wow.
It's expected to grow to 3.68 trillion by 2034. Meaning the jobs, the opportunities, the companies, the creatives, the innovators, where are you at? Because we can all talk about what AI is not going to allow us to do, or we could use our information, we can use our experience, we can use our gifts, we can use all of the things that we know, and we can understand the data well enough to know that this is where the future is going. Either you're going to be a part of the future, or it's going to continue to increase the wealth gap and the access gap and the skill gap. So that comes back to you, Coretta. What can we do as individuals? What can we do as professionals to be a part of this change? Because the change is already happening. Mm-hmm. What can we do to be a part of this change? How can we develop ourselves as leaders so that we can be a part of these opportunities moving forward in the future?
That's an excellent question. I have a lot of opinions about that, but I won't take up all the time. So, my fear, and I don't want to ruffle feathers. My fear is about
ruffle them.
Black America.
Ooh.
Black America sometimes is overlooked when it comes to technology. sometimes it could be because of the work environment, the living environment, or just not exposure to the different opportunities with technology. And I have seen that when it comes to creating those tools for the creatives and those with innovative ideas, they're not often incorporated in that process. So if that continues to be the case, then we won't be accounted for in AI practices. So just as I mentioned, that bias when it comes to women, I feel like that will become some of the bias that is for with people of color. And when you think about it, the way the educational system is going and Black America and education and how there have been parameters around what you can teach in schools, that's going to be the case when it comes to AI, because our history is being erased. And that is a huge part of being involved. People of color have been advocating to be seen in the world for so long. And if that is the case where we're still not seen, where we're still not advocated for, that will impact our technology as well. And so I encourage people to advocate, not only just people of color, but all over just the United States in general. Get involved in those processes. Be the human in the loop. So you get to have the opportunity to actually be a part of those decisions of that data that's going to be included. Those biases, the more you input your opinion or your knowledge, that bias is going to be less and less. So that's my short answer, but I'm sure, Myreesha, you have another.
I want to say something. I hope I'm not messing this up. So, I mean, that's so good. And the truth is, it's like advocacy in America is the only way that things happen, right? So when we think of any disadvantaged population, whether that be disabled, whether that be women, whether that be gender differences, like everything changes based on advocacy. Nothing ever happens when you sit back and watch, right? It doesn't matter what it is. So that's why it's so key of what you guys are saying, especially when you're calling out the innovators and the creatives. Like, we have to be a part of this. We have to be a part of it. This out for ourselves, for our children, for our grandchildren, for the next generation, so that someone is not dictating what's happening. All right, I'm done.
I want to throw something out real quick for someone to listen to, write down right now. According to a report, because I have some data for this conversation, 71% of leaders say that their workforce is not yet ready to leverage AI successfully. 51% believe they lack the skill talent needed for AI management. So I'm gonna pause right there. If you want a job, if we're complaining about the economy right now, 51% of companies are saying that they don't have skilled talent needed for AI management. And sometimes we have to go learn more and shift what we've been doing so that we can be a part of the next wave of where opportunities are going. But here's what's significant for me. 76% of companies report a severe shortage of AI skilled personnel. And even though 93% of large companies believe AI is essential to success. So companies see the success, they see the importance, but 76% of those same companies believe they don't have the skills. This reminds me of, and I'm going to just go left and then I'm going to come back to the question. This reminds me of the movie Hidden Figures. And I'm sure we've all three seen the movie. And there was a scene on the movie where, and I'm going to butcher the name, so I'm not going to say the name. One of the women, she was what she called a computer. She was a computer. And it's really neat how back then they called us computers and now we use them. Like they did the calculations in their mind. But she thought 2 steps ahead of where the IBM computer was going to go. And she went and learned the skill. And then when the opportunity presented itself, she was ready to bring her team with her to be able to manage the IBM. And I think we all often overlook that. It was not about the spaceship. It was about the fact that she knew ahead of time that the IBM was coming and it was going to take their job. She then went off and learned the skill, but then taught the skill to all of the Black women in her department, and then advocated in the next scenes to be able to, when the opportunity presented itself, she already had her staff ready for the next opportunity. My question for any of our audience members right now, what are you doing to prepare yourselves for the skills on the next opportunity? What are you doing to learn the skill, to train the skill, and to have the team readily available to deploy when these companies recognize that colleges aren't doing their job, higher educational institutions aren't doing their job, and they can't go to specific pockets of populations because they don't have the skill? So how are we readying ourselves now with the skills, but with the ability to teach other people so that we can be prepared? Myreesha, this next question is for you.
That was good.
With understanding that, how are you integrating AI as a skill set to teach your young ladies in entrepreneurship so that you can ensure that whether they go to college or in the industry, they can be a part of the next generation of prepared leaders of the future?
That's such a good question. I haven't yet. To be completely honest, I haven't yet. I use a lot of it on the back end, but I haven't implemented it just yet. I have some thoughts and ideas of how I can, but I'm definitely so glad to be a part of this conversation because it's making me think further in how I can. So that's where we are. Yeah.
Now, Coretta, this is back to you. What are two practical things people can do, or one or two practical things that people can do today to ensure by this time next year, when they come on the Podcastathon 2026, that they have began to expand their minds outside of just ChatGPT, but then also not just use the tools, but are starting to understand how to teach using these tools or creating tools within the tools?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an awesome question. And I'll use a real life example. So the answer is peer partners. I encourage that in organizations. I encourage that in friendships. So a lot of times someone that is well versed in AI, they know someone that is not. And so I'll give you an example. I have a cousin that realized that, you know what, I don't want to get left behind. I need to get up to speed on these AI tools. But then when I told her, hey, this is what I do, we partnered. She didn't know her cousin she said I was the basically the quick way to understand it. It created a safe environment. So when you partner with a person that rather it's in an organization versus everyday life, that psychological safety is there to be okay to fail. You are testing things out. You are asking questions to someone that makes you feel like, not feel like you're less than because you didn't know, as well as keeping abreast on what you see on TV. Like there's so many things out there that you could try, and they're advertised on TV, they're advertised everywhere, Facebook, whatever the case may be. You have someone coming on later in the podcast, and she does an amazing job of showing individuals on Instagram and all over the world, and hey, AI could really make your life make a different life. She, I saw one of her clips, and she was giving an example of, I think it's called Note something, and she was like, hey, you want to brag on yourself? Put your Facebook and your LinkedIn profile in here and let it cook. And she was able to help her audience see how AI could help with their confidence in the workforce and connect the dots when it comes to, what are your skill sets? How does this apply to what I can utilize in AI? So that partnership, that safe space, and being able to ask the questions with an individual that is probably a little more advanced, or even learning together. It's all about psychological safety.
That's good. Let me ask you this question. I really appreciate, and it's amazing to see how AI and leadership practices and mission-driven work are evolving so quickly. And what I recognize is that there's so much potential for organizations and professionals to not just keep up, but lead with purpose, creativity, but then also lead with care and intentionality as well. Given all this opportunity, what's the first mindset or action you would recommend leaders to take to start preparing their teams and organizations for AI or for leading more effectively in today's changing world?
It's the messaging. Leadership currently, what I've noticed is that the messaging that leadership is putting out when they initially adopt or introduce AI tools, they're not very transparent about what the tool is going to do for them, what the roles are of the individuals, how are we, what problem are we going to solve, and those sort of things. And so most of the time it is really the messaging when AI comes around is, oh, am I going to lose my job? But AI isn't in the space of it could do things like automate emails and things like that, but it's not ready to take on the human side of it. And so leadership and being transparent about what the tool is here for, what the AI tool will do, and what the human role is it of all things. I think it's all about that, because you notice that there is a decline, which is why I decided to do the work that I do. There is a decline in AI adoption because the transparency and the messaging and the involvement of the human isn't there. And so creating those psychological safe spaces in your organization, as well as not leadership. This is the key. I think this is the number one key. Whenever you're doing practices and introducing AI, those rooms where you're creating safe spaces to fail, it shouldn't be a room where all C-suites are doing it in one group, all line employees. It should be a mix, because the C-suite gets to be there and be just as challenged as the person that is working on the line. It creates safety. It shows everyone that, hey, we're all in this together. And it creates the blueprint of it's okay to fail. We're trying to figure this out. And this really is to make things better for our organization and help you to work smarter, not harder, and do the things that you enjoy doing in your everyday work. Things that are going to move the needle a little bit more and make a bigger impact on the organization.
Now, we do have a question that just came in. Where do you see organizations wasting the most time, overthinking AI or underthinking it?
In the tech implementation. So what I notice is that, and I'll keep going back to this human in the loop, they don't spend enough time investing in the people being involved in the nitty gritty of developing the tool. So they spend more time in developing the plan for implementing AI, developing the change plan, the waterfall plan, and things like that. But then you forget, what about these parts of how are we going to train our individuals? It's blanketed training, but that's not thought about up front. It is basically, let's make the tool, let's throw the tool in, and they'll figure it out. But that doesn't necessarily work. And being side by side with a tech person and a person that is helping to make that decision, whatever discipline that they're working on, is missed. So there needs to be better partnerships in that space.
Myreesha, you brought up some great points earlier as well in regards to the importance of advocacy and the importance of developing these skill sets in the next generation of leaders. And you're working with students that are doing this work as well. I guess my question, though, is if you had 60 seconds to encourage parents, encourage school leaders, encourage other nonprofit organizations that are doing similar work to you, what would be your message to them to being able to understand the importance of AI and also the work that you're doing?
What I would say to them is just take control of what you have. what you have in your hand, the influence, the sphere of people that you have around you. Take the reins of AI and wield it and use it in your sphere of influence in the way that's going to be effective for your people, your children, your students, because you know them best. So just like the example that you gave earlier with the woman on Hidden Figures, if you are a mom and you don't know anything about it, or if you are a principal and you are learning about it, take those extra steps, take some classes. Right now, a lot of stuff is free. So you can get on and you can learn different things so that you can direct the conversation. I think of it as parenting. A lot of times our children learn about sex from their friends and school and all the things. But if we are the first people to introduce the topic to them, we get to guide their thought process around it. So as a thought leader, just introduce it in the best way that you can and take control of your reins and what you have control of.
Now, to follow up on that question, you're doing the work, and you're curating environments and creating spaces where students are learning these types of skill sets. And you even mentioned earlier that you're going to start integrating some of these conversations into your programming as well. How can we support you? I think a lot of times we talk organizationally and big box corporations, but how can we support the organizations like yourself that are doing the work on a day-to-day basis to create the next generation of future leaders? What are some ways, some practical ways that we could be able to support you as well?
That is so awesome that you asked that. A great way something that we're doing now is our next step is creating a community. So a lot of the programs are 8-week programs that we do in the schools, but we want to continue. What we understand is that long-term involvement in the child's life is what long-term consistent involvement is what makes a difference. So we are creating a virtual community, which will use AI, where we will be able to continue the conversations and the connection with the students. The way that people can get involved is to support. I mean, if you could support a child, some of the children, parents do not have the funds to pay for them to be a part of a program like that. They get it in the schools, but afterwards it's a drop off. So we have a theme running where we are doing it. We are having it where you can give $41 to implement one student in the program for at least a month. If you want to do more than that, if you would like to give and help a student be in the program for a year, it could be $333. It's different options that you could give. If you want to help 3 students be a part of the community for the whole year, there's an option for you to do that. So that's how we combine together to continue to create change.
Perfect. And for anybody listening, I did drop the digital link in the chat below. Somebody that's been in education and mission-driven organizations for the last decade of my life, I believe is super important. If you don't have the treasure to give your time. If you don't have the time to give your talent. And if you don't have any 3, you need to go pray or something, because you got something to give, y'all. You got something to give. Coretta, following that question, when you think about if you had 90 seconds to talk to leaders and everybody listening right now, and you are to give that address that tells them what they need to do, encourages them how to do it, and provides them the space to be able to come to you if they need assistance, what would you say?
If you're noticing a decline in adoption of your AI tools, 90% of the time, it's because of the psychological safety within your organization. Create spaces within your organization where there is fear to fail, collaboration, inclusion, in order to make your employees feel safe about the tools that you're utilizing. Majority of the time, the tools that you're implementing is really to make things easier and help to focus on different work, the work that really moves the needle. And so having those environments and bringing someone in that could create those safe spaces and is very well versed in what it looks like to be on the other end of adoption, as well as be a equal participant, not just sitting in the boardrooms, but sitting in those chairs where we're all learning together. I would encourage you to look at the messaging that you're sending out and create spaces where you're very transparent with your employees about what the future of their job looks like, what the future of the organization looks like, and where you're going and the problem you're trying to solve. It makes a difference. The why behind it all changes. It gives the motivation. It encourages individuals to come on board, and communicating that in a way that helps your organization feel safe and can get on board and can champion for your tools. It'll take you a long way. Keep your individuals, keep the person. The person is more important than the technology. If your person doesn't feel safe, your technology won't succeed.
I love that. If your person doesn't feel safe, your technology won't succeed. Let me ask you this question, though. What is a question that we're not asking? What is a question or a thought that you believe that people are overlooking? What is something that we should be considering that we're maybe overlooking every single day?
Although jobs are, there will be a time where there will be, the workforce will change and there will be jobs that are eliminated. How are you preparing your workforce to not be those individuals that don't have a job? Meaning that, how are you working with the individuals that are not very well versed? Upskilling. How are you upskilling? I don't think that there's enough emphasis on, the panic of losing the job. Well, what are we doing to make sure that they have an opportunity to be a part of this movement? What are we doing to invest in our individuals so they may not be able to do this job, but we can move them around and do them something else because we upskilled? I think that is one of the missing pieces, because that would create a mindset of, I may not have security in this role, but I have a brighter future when it moves ahead. So, looking at that footprint and being upfront about what the workforce is looking like, and then preparing them for that. What kind of opportunities are we presenting to our people?
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Just as far as just the questions that we're not asking and the things that we're not saying. I'm thinking of AI. It doesn't really have to do with what you just said, but just implementing it in the smallest ways. I currently am I'm in school for my master's in social work. And so the practicum, that site that I'm at, is called the Women's Employment Network. They have an AI course where they're helping women to learn how to use AI in their daily lives. So how to help your children with homework, how to just do the different things that maybe you felt like you couldn't do. And I think that's so good. I know you're coming from an organizational standpoint, but I always think of parents and different things like that. Like, what are they not asking? What are they not thinking of? A lot of times we are on the defense, and even the profile, my LinkedIn profile picture I created with AI. I was outside and I asked a stranger to take a picture of me, and I uploaded it to an AI site, and I'm like, hey, do this, and that. And it did it. And it changed my outfit. I did not have on that blue suit, but it made me look great. I'm like, don't change my face. Don't change my hair. Don't change my body shape. And it created it, so it's just so many different things that we can do with AI that are just unassuming. We just have to lead with curiosity.
Myreesha, I'll add to that, and you made an excellent point. In this world of remote learning and how the environments have changed due to the pandemic, parents were having a very hard time with that homework and remote learning and assisting their kids. And, there was a lot of insecurities in that space. Like, they talk about this new math. I don't have kids, so thank God I don't have to do the new math. Yes. But AI is available to help you create that confidence. And when a parent is, there's a lot of frustration in that homework time, but AI can definitely help the parent feel more confident, as well as securing the fact that your kid you're responsible for that child's learning. You can take the wings of it and say, hey, AI is helping me to understand what they're learning in school. I have the tools to, help with that new math. It's available, and it creates a safe space, and it creates a lot of it removes a lot of frustration and intimidation when it comes to that child interaction and the things that they're learning in everyday classrooms.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. That's why it's just like that plea for parents, just me as a parent and just working in a space with youth, like even just really do your best to find out how you can use this in your home and how it can be effective, best suited for your family. I mean, even for homeschool, you can, coming up with lesson plans, activities, all the things. Yeah.
And one of the final questions that I want to ask you, ladies, and before I ask my question, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for bringing the energy. Y'all this is great. And I already knew. Thanks so much for this has been a great conversation and dialogue. And, also thank you for bringing the practical insights and application and inspiration, the honesty and vulnerability, and recognizing like, hey, there are still some gaps organizationally that I could be implementing so that I can either implement this within our programming or within how I'm running my organization as well. Mm-hmm. And for me, what I see is with integrating AI, it has to be thoughtful. It has to be intentional, and you have to remain curious. But, like one of our Kira Paris Moore said, we have to focus on upscaling or upskilling, not upscaling. We have to focus on upskilling. Like we have to improve our own skills so that we can be prepared for the next generation or this next wave of opportunities that exist. My final question, though, is what is one thing that you would want someone listening to take away from you? I think a lot of times we come on these conversations and we give insights professionally. We give all of these methodologies and tactics and all of these things, which is great. But what is something that you would want someone to leave about you that would align them or ensure that they come check you out or support your organization or just simply know who you are?
Myreesha, I'll let you go first. I love what you're doing.
Okay, I thought you was going to give me time to think. Okay, so no, but I think if I was to leave anything with the people is when you see me, you just see somebody that has tried, that has experienced delay, that has experienced setbacks, that has experienced heartbreak in all the different ways, but whatever you're going after, just keep going. I know we're talking about AI, but I'm just saying this is me as a person. No matter what you're doing, no matter where you are in your journey, just keep going. Keep going. I promise you, nobody has ever put one foot in front of the other and ended up not moving forward, right? So just keep going. And that's my goal with everything that I do, is just to inspire people to reach their fullest potential. Everything that God has placed in you to literally die empty with nothing left. And the only way you do that, you just keep going. So that's what I'll leave you guys with. Keep going.
I love that. Myreesha, I want to talk to you offline. I have some ideas that I could share with you.
Okay.
For me, I would, the first thing I would say is I come from a place, IT is not, I have no idea how I got in IT. And if I can do it, you can. And so bet on yourself. Bet on yourself, because you have no idea the potential you have when you give it a shot. I've been in organizations where I've had to learn technology that I've never even heard of. But just the thought of, I got this. The least I could do is not figure it out, and not figuring it out, I can try again until I figure it out. So bet on yourself, bet on your people. Don't leave them behind, because we're all part of this. We all need each other, and the human side of it all is what's going to make it great.
I love that.
Here's my message, because both of those messages just truly did something for me too. One connection, one opportunity, one belief can transform the rest of your life. And if you create space in your life to receive help in the ways that you need it, I truly believe that it will set the foundation for not just your own transformation, but the transformation that you've been called to have in other people. One of the quotes that I live by is that your obedience is attached to somebody else's destiny. So what are you not doing? Where are you not committed? Where have you not been consistent? That it's allowing someone else not to reach their own destiny.
That's so good.
This conversation has been so fruitful and fun. This has been a good one. It's been a good one. I appreciate you two so much. Where can people find you online, and how can people continue to support you?
So the best place to find me is on LinkedIn. I have created Signature Impact Partners. We do just everything that I mentioned. If you want to utilize my services, find me on LinkedIn and I'll hook you up. Coretta Dixon on LinkedIn, and everything else that's where you're finding me.
All right. So if you're looking for me, you can find me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is fairly new, so it's not as much on there, but Myreesha Franklin on LinkedIn. Instagram, you can go to, the name of our nonprofit is For the Love of Self. So we just shorten that to FLOSS, FLOS students. Floss Students on Instagram. You can find us there. And you can find me at Myreesha Franklin on Facebook.
I appreciate you two so much. If you are new to the Podcastathon 2025, welcome. Welcome. This has been such an amazing conversation, such an amazing time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Contagious Culture Podcast. If this episode challenged or inspired you, hey, take a second to share it with someone who's building culture in their world. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps more leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself join the movement. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or YouTube at Kyle S. King for more tips, tools, and methodologies to be able to help you create this ecosystem of absolute excellence. Until next time, lead boldly, live intentionally, and remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching.